I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
One of the most important things in raising children is to teach them responsibility. Now, as your kids get older and acquire a number of different skills, they are going to want to have their own pet. Now, as you are processing this, and I know this is different for each child and their level of responsibility. I was the kind of parent that wouldn't let them have things until I was convinced that they would be able to be up to the mat to be able to handle the responsibility. When they were younger and all their friends got those Velcro shoes, I told them, you can have a pair when you can tie your shoes. So they all went through the process of learning how to tie their shoes just so they could get Velcro. And I recognized that my reason for making them go through that process was so that they would learn those skills that would enhance their abilities in doing something like that. So when it came time for them wanting to have a pet, as a lot of their friends did, I said, well, let's read about it and find out what that's going to entail. They started out with something small. So I've gone the gamut through owning hamsters, a turtle, and I think the biggest thing we ever owned was when John got a hedgehog, and that was really a lot of fun. Now, one of the things that I really enjoyed was them learning how to clean out the cage, feed the animal, go to the pet store, get the right supplies. They really enjoyed shopping for the supplies for the cage for their animals. And it was kind of fun, them learning. It was almost like they were learning that this isn't a toy. This is a life that you are responsible for. And so you have to be willing to do the work that is required for taking care of a pet. Oh, yes, I remember they also had a rabbit. One of the things about the rabbit, the more you let her out of the cage, the more it was harder to get her back in the cage. She'd run all around the house and up and down the hallway because she knew her time of being free was up. And they also had a cat. So they went through having these pets that loved watching television and running around the house. But when it was time to get back into the cage, that was quite an experiment in itself. So I'm thinking that the ages that they were was probably about 7. I think that is the youngest any of them were, because they were old enough to be able to clean their animals' cages, feed them, give them water, and chase them when they got away. So what do you think? What's a good age to teach this kind of responsibility to your child? How old should they be to be allowed to have a pet?
I think that's a good question. And when I look back on our pets, I have mixed feelings. I mean, I think I was, how old was I when we got Duchess?
Well, you would have been 4 years. You would have been 8. I was 12.
Yeah,
I was 12 when we got Duchess.
Yeah, I mean, knowing what I know now, there's a couple of things that I would caution parents about. It's fun to have an animal, but like you say, this is a living being. This is another soul. This is someone who has rights also. So there's a difference between a pet and a prisoner. A pet wants to be with you, interacts with the family, and is something that your child is enhanced by understanding what it's like to be responsible for another life. If they're a prisoner, it's like they're only staying with you because they can't escape. So, we have to really make sure that when we bring someone into our home, we bring an animal friend into our home, that it's comfortable, it's enjoyable for the animal, and they're doing more than just, being in a cage and being fed, because what's the purpose? And the child should be learning something, I think, even about nature, about animal life, or even marine life, if it's a fish, or bird life, it's a bird, but definitely understanding that this is a life and they have feelings. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have a dog in a place where they had to be chained up all the time. I have deep regret about us chaining our dogs in the garage because we didn't want them on the lawn at a certain point. And, it's like, okay, they need to be free to run in the backyard. That's what you got a yard for. And if you're worried about them messing in the yard, okay, then take them for a walk. But if we got to a point, we got to a point we were teenagers, maybe didn't have time for them as we did when we were younger. So that's another thing. Your children need to know they have to be prepared to take time. If it's a dog or whatever, they need to be walked. If it's a cat, they need to be let out, or whatever you do with cats. We had a cat briefly when Zakia was growing up, and that was more or less, okay, we got a mouse problem and we need a cat. And then it was just, it coincided with my brother-in-law getting married, and his wife had a cat allergy. So, I got to get rid of my cat. You need a cat. Here's a cat. But I think, and going and planning it, you really need to think, how is this being going to affect our family? Because they're coming in being part of our family. And can we take care of them in a way that is kind and compassionate and considerate for them and their life as an animal? And is my child going to really interact with them or get bored with them? And the next thing you know, they're just somewhere in a cage and you're just shoving food at them, but nobody really even bothers with them. That's cruel. So, those kind of things you have to think about. And it's good that you did research what do we need to do to take care of them. But I really think you need to think about how we're going to interact with that animal and not let your child get bored where they don't want to be bothered with them anymore. And then you end up not really treating the animal well.
Oh, and I remember their first pets were birds. I forgot about that because they would like to let the birds out too. Fly around the apartment.
Okay, I'm going to break this down. I'm just going to break this down. I'm just going to say it for all you, especially for you moms out there. Don't get a pet until mom wants a pet. Y'all know that what happens after 2 weeks with a puppy and nobody's housebreaking the puppy and nobody sees when the puppy has pooped on the thing. You have to pick it up if you see it, but then all of a sudden everybody's walking around like this. So when mom wants a dog, that's when you get a dog. When mom, because actually after a couple of weeks, they're all good. And most of the time, when they're little like that, you still going to have to remind them, you have to feed your fish, you have to feed your hamster, you have to feed your hedgehog, whatever. But when it's mom's dog, when it's mom's hedgehog, when it's mom's cat, mom takes care of all of that. So if mom doesn't want the animal, don't get an animal in your house. I'm going to tell you, I have a dog because it's mom's. Mom wants the dog. Mom also wants the birds that I have. I live in a zoo. But that's the thing is that I always tell, I have a sister-in-law now her kids are all grown. And I think the last one is the last one in college. And for years, she kept saying, my kids want a dog. My kids want a dog. I said, do you want a dog? She says, no. I said, then don't get one. Don't get one because it's going to be your dog anyway. So don't get a dog until you want a dog. And you know what? Those kids are just fine. And Sarah has always, except for 4 years, there was 4 years between when our dog died and we got another dog, which was 4 years too long, in my opinion. But she grew up with a dog. There was a dog here before she was born. So she always had a dog in her life. And she will probably always have pets because she's used to having a dog, and she misses, and when she FaceTime, she wants to FaceTime the dog who, looks at her like she's crazy. But that's the thing. But the reality is that it's going to be mom's responsibility. Now you can teach them and you can say, okay, this is going to be your pet, but understand you are still going to have to supervise because like Naima says, it's a living human being. It's a living being. And when they forget, because they want to have a sleepover. Well, okay, you're going to have a sleepover or you're going to be gone for the weekend. Who's going to be taking care of that?
Right.
Oh, well,
Right.
can you do it? Well, yeah, I can, but you need to ask me.
Right.
Yeah.
Just assume it's going to happen because you neglected.
Because you're there. But that's the thing. So, you know, and I, like I said, I'm a pet person. I'm not crazy about cats. I don't wish them any harm. I just like dogs. I like dogs. I like birds. We used to keep fish. I like those kinds of things. I don't like cats because they get on the furniture, and I have a dog that doesn't. So that's the thing, is that you have to take whatever creature and get that creature into your family. My dog is a member of the family. I can't get tired of her and decide, okay, we're just going to put her down, or we're going to put her in the shelter, or whatever. The kids are gone. You know what? This is a social being that has become part of your family. This is why they stopped calling them pets and started calling them companion animals.
Companions.
Now, a lot of people with during COVID, a lot of people got these shelter animals, and of course the shelters were empty because people wanted to have something to do since they were home. That's great. What's going to happen when those animals, you know, when everybody goes back to work? Well, somebody's going to have to like pay the dog walker, because people have dog walkers, or put their dog in doggy daycare. People do that too, you know, but you have to start thinking post COVID or post kids growing up and going away to college, and you know, not having that same connection with this animal that you grew up with. And yeah, I also have some regrets about Duchess. I don't think she was never housebroken. She was never treated as well as she should have. We had parents who grew up with animals staying outside. Now you understand that you don't leave your animals outside. But at the time, people would even let their dogs run loose through the neighborhood. You don't do that.
Stuff.
You don't, that stuff next door. Used to run the neighborhood. A lot of dogs used to run the neighborhood. You don't let your dog run the neighborhood. Mine has a microchip in case she gets lost, so that, you know, somebody can find out who she belongs to.
They have leash laws here.
Yeah, but the thing about it, though, if we remember our neighbor's dog, Fat Stuff, I mean, he was very savvy. He knew how to cross. Yeah. He looked both ways, you know. I mean,
and yet Prince up the street was hit by a car.
Yeah, it happens. But I mean, you know.
Well, that's the thing, is that the thing is that we know better now on how to take care of our animals, how to take them in, how to understand that they are domesticated, that they are not expected to fend for themselves. And so when we do that, we have to do the research. We have to understand. And like I say, seven is a good age. But, you know, as long as they know, and I think when we got Coco, Sarah was 10. So, you know, she's 22 now. So Coco's gotten old, but don't tell Coco. But that's the thing.
Just out of curiosity, how does Coco respond when Sarah FaceTimes? I just always wonder what, you know.
She hears her, but she doesn't smell her, because dogs, they're oil fans. And so that's what's interesting. And Sarah, when she was here, because she was here for months because of COVID, and she would always say, "Oh, Coco hates me," because she would want to love on her, and Coco would eventually get up and go away, because she's probably Coco thinking, you know, I wish these people would go to work and leave me alone because I got stuff to do. But you know, it was funny. But when she has come home, and I think when she comes home again, after she graduates, she's going to get a certain bark that Coco gives you, which says, "I miss you." So when she come home, she gets the "I miss you" bark, but she doesn't. She hears her, but she doesn't respond because she doesn't smell her. So it's really funny. She said, "I want to see Coco," and then, you know, it's really foolish.
I just always wonder, you know, because of course Coco sees you all watching TV. So, I mean, dogs know about TV because they're in the house with it. But to see Sarah,
they actually have a dog channel.
Yeah. I was watching. As a matter of fact, it was funny. I was watching this video of a dog that was watching the scene, and you might have seen this video, watching the scene in what was that movie with Mufasa and
the Lion King.
He was watching the scene when Mufasa died, and he started crying. The dog started crying, and it was just so sad. Watching when
I think the dog had to go out.
looking at the TV, it was looking bad. So, so I thought that was interesting. But our animal friends, our companions, our animal companions, they have more feelings than we realize. And like you said, you are a member of the family, so you can't just get a dog or a cat or a bird or whatever the case may be, or a hedgehog, and then the child get tired of him and say, "Oh, I'm done with him," and then you either drive them somewhere and dump them and hope they don't find their way back home, or send them to the shelter. I think that's the kind of a cruelty. So
yes,
you have that talk with your child. I think you need to make sure that they understand this is a permanent decision. This is like adopting a child.
Yeah.
Them back.
You can't like give them back because you're tired of picking up animal poop.
Right. So that's the question that needs to be had, along with, like you say, making clear this is your responsibility. As we work on getting them housebroken, you clean up the accidents that they have on the rugs or whatever it is. That's your job. It's your job. And it was funny though. Now, when I would visit Cheryl, and usually it'd be like maybe 2 weeks out of the year, and her dog Tarna would wake me up every morning to feed her. And I didn't realize she was doing it on purpose until, because I would hear her tags jingle, and I'd look up and, and she's standing by the door and go, oh, what is it you want? Oh, you want somebody to come out and feed you? And so I would do this every day. And then, one day I heard the jingle and I woke up and I happened to catch her looking at me and then shake her head again and jingle her tag, look at me again, and then shake her head and look at me again. It's like, did I wake you? Did I wake you? I said, she's waking me up on purpose. And I said, now what are you doing when I'm not here? I'm here 2 weeks out of the whole year. Who do you get up in the morning when I'm not here to get you to go and feed you?
She never got me up. You know what? She got you trained. The first time she jingled you, because she had, I had that dog for 12 or 13 years. She never got me up. She waited, and dogs will train people. When they have like Caesar and all those other people, when he talks about dog training, really he's training the person.
Yeah.
Because now Coco will not get me up. If I get up and Sean has gone to work, she will not ask for me to feed her because he feeds her. I will feed her, but if he sits down for too long in the morning and she doesn't feed her, she goes and gives him a paw because she knows who's supposed to feed her. So dogs will train you. So you got trained by my dog.
Yes, I got trained by your dog. Yeah, but she did a good job though, because you
learned.
I was there and feed her, let her out, get her water. Yeah, I was trained.
What do you think for the other 50 weeks of the year she never got any of those things?
I know she did. I was amazed that she figured out that I would get up and do it. And I don't know how she figured that out, but she did.
She saw that big S for sucker on your head.
It must. But I think that when people think of having things other than a dog or a cat, you have to really think about how will this fit into the indoors, because animals really, we domesticate them, but if they're sort of meant to be wild, like like Barbara, how did you go about researching to find out how do you domesticate a hedgehog, something like that?
Well, I actually took my kids to the library, and amazingly, one of my high school classmates had written taking care of a hedgehog. And I was amazed. It caused me to actually look her up and find her and catch up with her. But for each pet that my kids got, we went to the library and we would take out, half a dozen books with different perspectives on taking care of your pet and learning how to build a relationship with them. I was always a person that didn't want something like fish because I felt like, I want to cuddle something if we're going to have a pet. And I think my kids were kind of the same way. We never got anything bigger than a rabbit, though. We lived in an apartment building where you really could not have a dog. And I think that there was one person who lived in that building who got a dog, and it seemed like the dog was pestered to death because everybody acted like it was their dog. And the situation was really kind of difficult, especially when the dog was a puppy. I think there were like two of them, Scout and Gunther, and they were, they were Saint Bernard dogs.
No, they were sheepdogs.
They were sheepdogs, right, right. And it was cool. It's like, oh, we have a dog, and it was supposed to be like, oh, 300 people cannot own one dog.
No.
And it really ended up just belonging to one person. But I think because of the way we were living at the time, you really couldn't have a bunch of people having a bunch of dogs in this one apartment building. So a lot of people, they were pretty happy with small animal pets. We were good with the rabbit as the biggest thing, I think.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to always have a dog. I love dogs.
I like dogs too.
And they're fun, and they, I've walked
they're
hundreds of miles.
loyal.
And it's nice, especially I've even written about this. It's funny how when you're a woman, you're constantly having to be aware of your surroundings when you walk. And I can put my earphones in, which you're not supposed to do when you're walking. But if I got my dog, I'm good, so I can walk and I can listen to my podcasts and I can go out at night for a walk, and I don't have to worry about being accosted. And I love the companionship of that. But as far as your kids are concerned, your kids are going to grow up. Your kids, if you have a dog and that dog lives to 10 years or 12 years or 14 years, your kids are going to be grown and gone by the time, that dog is old. So you have to understand that that dog is a part of your family, and you have to treat that animal, if it's a dog, if it's a cat, if it's a bird, because birds can I've had birds that live for 20 years. That's a part of your family, and you have to understand that, and they have to understand that. So when should your kid get a pet? When you're ready for them to get a pet, because it's going to be your pet. So that's the thing. And also, I wanted to say one more thing about that, because Easter is coming up and people like getting cute little chicks and bunnies
and ducks
and ducks and those kind of things. Those little cute little chicks and bunnies and ducklings grow up, and they're not cute anymore, and they're work. The same thing with Christmas. People like getting a puppy for Christmas. Don't get a dog. Don't get animals just because they're cute and they're fun little things to put in their Easter basket or anything like that, because you're doing them a disservice. This is a living being. If you want to give them a chick, give them a chocolate one. Don't give them something that you're going to, one day either, throw away or try to give away, or, run over with your car or something horrible like that, because people have done that. Bunnies are a lot of work. They're a lot of work. They, they have to, I've been told that you can teach them how to use a cat box, a litter box, but the thing is, you still have to worry about them chewing through wires and all other kind of stuff, because they're growing. So bunnies they're more than just cute little things like that. They're a lot more work than you think. So don't get those animals, especially this time of the year, because you think they're cute, and don't get them saying, oh, my kids are going to learn. You know what they need to do, like Barbara did, and say, Learn about this first, and then you decide if you still want this.
Yeah. What are those weasels that people also get?
Oh, what are those? They're also ferrets. They're
Yeah.
also not great. They're not great. They're cute. They're not great. They're not
But
great.
they're not good pets for children.
They're not good pets for children.
And that's something to research as well. You need to make sure that you are getting a suitable type of pet for your child. Now, I know a lot of people do love dogs, but there are some dogs that are more family friendly than others.
Yeah.
You do not get these. I remember I had a friend who had gotten one of these beagles, you know, the different types of dogs. They're like sheep herding dogs. You have these dogs nipping at the heels of your children to try to herd them. That's not the kind of dog to get your kid. Get your child something like an Irish setter, you know, one of those family dogs. You want to get your kid the kind of dog where your kid can do anything to them and they won't get bitten.
You know what?
But you do want to make sure your children.
You want to make sure your kids are not pulling their tail and yanking on them.
Ears,
you do want the kind of dog that is a kid-friendly animal.
Right.
You know, if you go to some of these rescue shelters, like we got Coco, they actually have done the work for you. Coco, they were not, because Coco had failed the toddler test. So they would not have adopted her out to anyone who had a child under the age of 10, and Sarah was 10.
Oh, okay.
And that is because, and I would see that. Now she's mellowed a lot more now, so much better now. But at the time, because toddlers have that high pitched sound, they sound like squeaky toys. And so I knew, I looked at, they will do the work for you, and they will recommend the age that you should have for this child. Now, she's part chow, so she is very family oriented, and these are her people, which is another reason why I can walk anywhere. But the thing is, you have to do the research, do the work, or go to some place and adopt.
Yeah, adopt. Absolutely. Well, we've got to go, but you know, adopt lets you know that this is a part of the family, like you say, and you can't give them back. And so when you know that your child is ready to take that responsibility for the care, and like you say, when mom wants the pet, then that's the time to do it, because you know it's a permanent member of the family, and make sure that the animal friend that you bring into your home feels welcome. So we've got to go. I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Barbara. We're 3 Black moms.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.